Thank you for tuning into the Leverage Your Influence podcast. Today, we are honored to have Dr. Tim Newman, who is a seasoned communications coach, podcast host, who has been privileged to share with others on how they can become public speakers. He's the creator of the Form of Public Speaking, a practical step-by-step system that allows people to learn the art and science of public speaking. And today, we are honored to listen to the gems from Dr. Tim Newman himself. So tune in, grab your notepad or your notes app on your phone, because this is going to be a value-packed episode. Thank you, Dr. Tim, for being here with us.
GP, thank you so much for inviting me on. You talk about gems, you never know what's going to come out of my mouth. You truly never know. So let's get after it and have some fun.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Dr. Tim, you spent over 2 decades helping people become powerful communicators. What's the biggest communication mistake you see professionals making today, especially podcasters?
Well, I think they're a little bit different from the podcasting perspective. I think the biggest mistake is they wait too long to start and do it. You know, they think about it and they plan it and they say, well, I'm going to hold off. It's not perfect yet. I don't know this. I don't know that. I think with podcasting, the best thing to do is if you have your idea and you know your audience, you know who you want to talk to, just go ahead and start doing it, because the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. But from a just basic communication perspective, is we worry too much about what other people are thinking all the time. And I think going back to podcasting, I think that's what makes us hold off on doing it, is because we're worried about, oh, I'm not gonna be Joe Rogan. I'm not gonna have 5 million listeners on my first episode. No, you're not. You're not gonna have 5 million listeners on your 150th episode. So don't worry about it. Just get started and share your information. Be who you are.
Yeah. Well said. So you mentioned be who you are. Don't think about what others are saying. Before you got into the communications industry, what were you doing and what drew you to that particular field?
Well, again, that's a really good question. You know, I was a college professor, and what I found was that I found myself teaching more soft skills than the content area that was my specialty. Because if my students couldn't go out and communicate with people, it didn't really matter what they knew at all. So you have to be able to communicate, and so that was probably my last 2 or 3 years of in classroom teaching. I spent very, very little time on content. It was almost all on soft skills, like I said, and I didn't feel like I was truly giving the students what they really needed. And so I figured that this would be a much better use of my time and resources, and I could help more people, get over this whole idea of not being able to communicate.
Yeah. Speaking of public speaking, that is one of the biggest phobias that people have. They're afraid to get in front of other people or to get behind a microphone and to share publicly. Why do you think many individuals fear public speaking so much?
What? I think the biggest thing is because they don't want to mess up. They don't want to be judged. They don't want to sound stupid. They don't want to say the wrong thing. All those things that go on inside our own heads that we say to ourselves, but we have to understand is we're saying them to ourselves. Our audience isn't saying that to us. They want us to succeed. They want us to share our information, and they want us to win. They want us to do well. They're not judging us, because they're sitting. What we have to understand is they're sitting in their chair, worried about what others are thinking about them. They're not worried about they're not thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves.
Yeah. So you have a signature method called the formula for public speaking. How does this help simplify the process for nervous or new speakers?
Well, if you look at it like this, at least from my perspective, I've got really, really bad ADHD. And so for me to ever be successful, I needed a system. And pretty much everything I do has a system. It's a step-by-step. If I do this, and this, and I do it the same way every time, I'm going to get good results. So that's kind of how I approach the whole idea of communication, public speaking. If you have a system and you put that in place, the more confident you are, because you've done the work. You know that you've done the work. And so if you focus on your audience, just like in podcasting, before you do anything, you know who your audience is. You need to know everything that you possibly can about your audience. And then once you do that, now you're going to start looking at your content, and then you're going to take that content and gear it towards that individual audience. And
Yeah.
then you have to look at your expectations. I mean, so that's kind of the system and the step-by-step thing that you have to look at. Is it doesn't have to be complicated. It's not, we're not standing on a stage dancing around juggling things. It's just basic conversation, just like this. It's basic, communication skills. Know who you're talking to. Know have an, or at least have an idea of where they are, what they want to know, what they need to know, and then figure out how to take your knowledge and give it to them so that they can digest it.
Yeah, yeah. Those are great points you made, Dr. Tim. So for a podcaster who's listening, they're now leaning in, they're wondering, I didn't think about the fact that as a podcaster, I am a speaker and I'm connecting with others and
Yes.
communicating. What are 3 practical steps or words of advice that you would give to someone to leverage their podcasting skills on a stage near them?
Wow, that's GP. That's a really good question. Again, number one, you have to come back to me. Everything comes back to the audience. It's know the audience first and foremost, um, and figure out how they're going to be engaged. Right. So when we're podcasting and we're doing something like this, I really use this as an example. Right now I'm looking at the camera, and I'm engaging with you, and I'm engaging with the audience who's watching, right?
Right.
But as soon as I come down here and now I start looking at the screen, now I'm looking at you over here at the screen, completely disengaged. When you're on the stage, you have to figure out how you're going to engage the audience all the time anyway. Generally, you've got about 7 to 10 seconds to make sure that they're engaged as you're moving through your through your talk, through your speech, through your presentation, whatever it is. Okay. So you have to make sure that you've got engagement points all along those ways. And, here during the podcast, it's having, looking at the camera, even still using my hands to talk. Sometimes they're visible, sometimes they're not. But, it's that whole idea of making sure that they're engaged.
Yeah.
And the third piece is, for me, it's you got to have fun. I mean, podcasting to me is, some of the people that I'm talking to, and I'm sure that you're talking to, all from all over the world, all walks of life, all different types of stories, but we all have we're all dealing with the same stuff.
Yeah.
Have fun with it,
Yeah.
right? Have fun with engaging and meeting people and getting to know people and enjoying people. And it's the same thing being on stage. Have fun with it. Don't take yourself so seriously, because, as soon as you do that, that's a real turn off to the audience. If you think that you're so much better than everybody else, they're going to shut down.
Wow.
If they can relate to you, you're going to have much better engagement. You're going to get a much better result from whether it's podcasting or whether it's being on stage.
Yeah. Yeah. Dr. Tim, from your background as a communications professor, how has that shaped your coaching approach? What kind of style do you use for your own clients?
So that's GP, man. You're hitting me with some good stuff here. That's a really, really good question. And let me kind of back up a little bit here. The very first time I had to present for somebody, I threw up. Okay, so this is a long time ago. And when I started teaching, and I pretty much taught myself how to kind of relax, and like I said, developing the system through a long period of time. And one of the things that I learned, I would tell my students, you got to get rid of the uhs and yums. Just get rid of them. And one of my best students came to me, and she was really upset. And she said, you've been telling us to get rid of the uhs and yums for years, but you've never told us how to do it. And that hit me right in the stomach. And when this is coming from one of my better students, who was upset because she was working her butt off trying to get better, and I wasn't truly helping her. Okay. And so that made me step back and think about, the processes that I go through and how to communicate that to help them. And so kind of what I do is I look at you as an individual. What is it that you need? How do you best learn? What's going to be the way that's going to be able to get the most out of you as an individual? and really kind of take it from there. There are some key basic things that everybody has to do, but how we get that across and how we get you to learn, that is really the nuance of everything else.
Powerful, powerful. So you not only are a professor, a public speaking coach, but you also are a podcaster yourself who is passionate about golf. And so you talk about it, you share about it. And so what role has podcasting played in your own journey as a communicator?
So again, another really good one. So the Speaking with Confidence podcast that I host, that this was actually my second podcast. It wasn't my first one. The first one was the Golf Week Amateur Tour, and I started that one as we were coming out of COVID, and I wasn't in a good place, but I wasn't happy, right? Because I was spent everything I did revolved around work. There was some family issues going on, so there was no fun in my life. And if you know me at all, like I said, I like having fun. There was no fun in my life at all. And I went to the owner of the business, who were friends. And I said, "Look, I've got this idea. Can I start a podcast?" And at the time, he didn't know what it was. He didn't say, "Yeah, do whatever you want." And it took off. And basically, with that podcast, I'm interviewing people, amateur golfers all across the country. And so I'm talking to people. I got a co-host who's in El Paso, Texas, and it was fun, and that's what really kind of got me started, knowing that this podcast, where the Speaking with Confidence podcast, was going to be in the hopper soon. Again, remember what I said? We put it off. Guess who did that? I did that. So I may be doing this, but I go through the same thing as everybody else does. So just keep that in mind. And I didn't use the other one as a training ground, but that's kind of how it worked out. I learned a lot. Really, really quickly. And then I took the skills from being a decent public speaker and turn them into podcasting. And again, things evolve, and you still have to work at your craft. You still have to get better at it. But that was kind of the timeline.
That's awesome that you mentioned that you had a passion and an interest, and that led to you starting that podcast. And in the process of doing it, as you go, you grow. And
yes,
look at you now. You now are a far better golfer and podcaster because you merged your passion with your interest, right, and you took action.
Yes. Yeah. And that again, you have to take action. I watched a quick reel this morning, and, somebody was saying, goals aren't achieved by thinking about it. Goals aren't achieved by just writing them down. You don't get better because you thought about something. The only way things get done, and I say this a lot, nothing happens until you actually do something. You have to actually take action and start going on down that road.
Yeah. So let me turn this direction. You wear so many different hats, from a communications coach to a professor to a tour director to a podcast host. What do you do to stay efficient? What tools do you use to help keep you organized? And how do you keep from burning out?
Again, really good question. Because here's what people don't understand with podcasting. It's not truly scalable. I mean, because everything has to be done for each episode, for each show. I'm a one-man band for Speaking with Confidence, so I do everything. I've got a co-host with the other one. I'm getting him more involved in some things because both of them are growing to the point where I can't do everything anymore. So number one, you have to learn what your limits are, what you can do and what you can't do, what you're good at, what you need to pass off to people. I would say from the Speaking with Confidence podcast, a game changer for me was Podmatch. And that's kind of how we got connected here. What it did for me in terms of connecting with people, it was like it was like a light bulb. You flip that switch and you're almost instantly connected with tons of qualified people, tons of um, good guests that you have access to. So that saved me from, going through my network and maybe they can, maybe they can't, this, that, and the other thing. I mean, because it's already there.
Yeah.
And then again, within Podmatch, I use the scheduling system, and it keeps me on track. It's already done. Pop, 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 pop. I get an alert. Okay, you're a day behind something. Shoot, I forgot to do that, and I get it done. And here's the other thing. I'm somebody that believes in the personal connection of everything, but AI has really helped me in terms of some of the wrap up type things, the show notes, some of the social media post descriptions. You can upload the show. It'll do show notes for you. Then I go in and I change things. So it's not completely AI, but a good portion of it is, and then you make it your own. But that in and of itself for me has really kind of changed things. AI in terms of editing, we talked about that a little bit. I do very little editing in terms of my interview guests, right? But when it's my own, when I do a solo episode, there's a lot more editing that has to be done. For me, it's my pauses in between thoughts. Going in and getting them out and putting it to a point where it actually sounds like it would actually be me talking, as opposed to thinking about what I want to say and those types of things.
Yeah.
But it's a labor of love. I mean, it takes time, because again, I want to make sure that we're providing value to the listeners, giving the listeners what they expect.
Yeah. Powerful answer. Wonderful answer. So, Dr. Tim, I'm going to start dreaming out loud, because I firmly believe in the next 5 to 10 years, there will be opportunities for live podcasting, and it's going to be mainstream. So the PGA Tour, the golf tournaments, there's going to be someone like you there on site with a camera and a microphone, getting interactions, interviews from those who are attending and engaging with those via social media. So you can take one event, capture content, and turn that moment into a movement. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, you can laugh, but I kind of already do that. So we have with the golf podcast, with the Golf Week Amateur Tour, generally me and my partner, we pick 2 or 3 regional events around the country, and we go to it and we broadcast live on Sunday. Okay, it's a 2-day event on Sunday, so you got people from all over the country competing, and we interview winners, and we're there live. That's, people think the guys love it. I mean, they absolutely love it. But some people say it's not that big of a deal. You just go there and you do it. No, it is a big deal, because I take everything.
Yeah.
Right. I put on a production. I take all my recording equipment. The only thing that I'm having trouble with is lights. I may end up renting lights where I'm at, right? But I take headphones. I take it all, and because I want to make sure it's professional. I want it to have that feel of we're professionals doing this. And again, like I said, the guys love it. Now, for this to be truly mainstream, I think there's some work that's got to be done on a number of different things, technology and those other types of things, because I don't know who's listening, but I have to carry what I call around the big ass box.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And trying to check that, it's an argument with
TSA.
TSA. But that's a different story, right? But this is you're on something. It's coming, and it's not just going to be me that does it. It's so this is like the second live interview I've done in the last 2 weeks. More and more podcasters are doing this. Number one, from a podcast host, I think it's great, because you're getting out immediately, right? People are seeing this and consuming it almost immediately, and if not, it's still being recorded and put out. I think it's great, and I think we're going to have more and more of this as we move forward.
Yeah, yeah. I could even imagine, Dr. Tim, let's say Amazon warehouse, using on-camera talent, podcasters to live stream, share, engage with those. Because if you think about it, even for e-commerce, all around the world, they shop online through live streaming. America is behind.
Yes.
But the rest of the world is already there. And so I think it's only a matter of time where we realize that live streaming, even in the in any industry, you can literally live stream and build better engagement and connection with your target audience.
Right. Right. And that's, you talk about engagement. I think that's the piece where that really needs work. How are you going to get, the audience to call in or to, because typing questions, it's okay, but we want to have true engagement. We want to have the live calling. We want to have them maybe even have a face, as opposed to just a voice, right? So, I mean, the technology that you're using, somebody could log on and have their face on it. Obviously, there's a lot has to go into that, and we have to make sure that this person is who they say. Again, I understand there's barriers there, but I think that's where the true engagement truly needs to come in.
Yeah. You mentioned that. Like, I literally could send a link out, and if you click the link and join, I can add another box, and the three of us would be in the same box. So anywhere you are in the world, we can still connect, not just through sound, but through video, which is powerful.
Right. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, because again, it's that face-to-face connection. It's that almost that true human connection.
Yeah.
I did a guest for a podcast a few weeks ago, and we went through with it, even though his video wasn't working. It was just an audio podcast, but his video wasn't working, and it was difficult. It was very difficult for me. Again, I'm looking at the camera, but I can still see you down here, but not be able to see him, not being able to see his face, not be able to see his facial expressions.
Yeah.
Not being able to see, if he's engaged, if he wants to say something or he wants me to stop talking or whatever it is. That's hard.
Yeah.
That's truly hard.
Yeah. So, Dr. Tim, I'm thinking about podcasters who are concerned because they will never probably get 2,000 downloads a month, which is like the industry standard for monetization and making it big. How can you help them understand that they can monetize their skill sets? Their communication skills can be monetized. So help them see the light.
Yeah. See, let's back up for just a second, GP, because I think this is part of the problem. Because to me, it's not always about the money.
All right.
It's not always about monetization. It's about sharing the message. It's about sharing your story, your information, what have you. Okay. And eventually you may be able to monetize through the podcast. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. But we're so focused on that money piece, and we see the Barstools, we see the Joe Rogans of the world, we see all these high profile names. Get those out of your head, because there's that crew. That's that 0.0001%.
Right.
And then there's everybody else. Like you said, that 2,000 downloads a month and under club. That's the majority of us. You find your niche and meet them. But then what you do is from your affiliated businesses, your coaching, your gaming, whatever that is. And that's where you start bringing people in, and that's where the monetization truly comes from. I mean, because if you're making enough money just off your podcast, good for you. God bless you. You tell me how you're doing it, because most of us aren't there yet.
Nope.
And we're just not. I mean, I'm not there. GP, I'm just not there. But I don't play that. That was never the goal either.
Yeah.
Right. So when I look at, let's just take the Speaking with Confidence podcast as an example. I'm trying to help people with this. Yes, I'm trying to drive people to the coaching and the class business. That's, be honest, that's what I'm trying to do. But deep down inside, that's what I do, is I help people.
Yeah.
And that's what this podcast is about. And if we get business from there, great. And if we don't, and I'm still helping you, great, because that's the entire point of it. So you have to kind of get back to your why. Why are you doing it? Just like anything else.
Yeah. I love that. You got to start with why and make sure that you're leading with value and not just
Yes.
chasing dollars.
Yeah. Because if you're chasing dollars, doesn't matter how many dollars you have. There's only one thing better than $1. That's $2, right?
Right.
And so you doesn't matter how much you have, you always want more.
Right.
That's but if you're doing, and I say it for the right reasons, and I'm putting my value for other people, but from my perspective, if I'm doing this for the right reason, which is to help people, everything else will take care of itself.
Well said, Dr. Tim. You've been sharing the same point in different ways, and we've been hearing it all along. Why you do something is more important than how you're doing it. All right. The why, the missional focus of why you're doing it will sustain you when the going gets rough, when things get tough, when you can't see, the future. When you enjoy the process and you know why you're doing it, you're successful.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, that's it. Absolutely.
Yeah. So beyond this very moment, those who are listening, those who may be watching, how can we connect with Dr. Tim Newman beyond this moment?
The best place to reach me is at the website. It's timnewmanspeaks.com. You could link up with me. All my socials are on there. You could sign up to have a free consultation with me. You get a free ebook. But that's the best place to find me. timnewmanspeaks.com.
Awesome. And Dr. Tim, if you had an opportunity to live stream to all of the inhabitants of the world, the billions of people, and they gave you 1 minute on this special live stream, what would you say to the world?
Number one, get out of your own head, because you've got a story to share, whatever it is. Everybody has their own story. You have a story to share. Just share it. Go about doing the work. Go about doing whatever that thing is and sharing that information, but have fun doing it, because life is too short to be all in your head and not do things because you're worried about what other people are saying or thinking. Just go out and do the thing, have fun with it. And again, everything is going to work out just fine, because people aren't necessarily thinking about you. You're the only one really thinking about you. So get out of your head and go have fun and go do the thing.
Well said, Dr. Tim Newman. Thank you for being a guest on the Leverage Your Influence podcast.
GP, thank you so much. I really, really do appreciate it. And you're doing great work, getting this type of information out there for everybody. Listen to some of your other episodes. They're really good, packed full of value for all your listeners.
Yes, sir. And we're honored to have guests like you who share that value and deliver the inspiration and information to take us to the next level for us to leverage our influence. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time.